The engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flag flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy indeed contact, and there goes Valentin barriers. Oh, the leader's lost it. Noah Ader loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses the lead. That's an amazing bit of work there from Luke Harrison.
The inside we have three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George Bidby. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again. Good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to the Genisus Extreme YouTube channel for yet another round of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. We're halfway through Season 3. That means one thing and one thing only. We are off to the land down under, to Bathurst, Mount Panorama, for probably one of the most exciting and important races of the season. You can see Golden Hour just crisping over the hills here at Mount Panorama, making the track look absolutely lush. Let's hope that the action on track is there to match it as well. My name is Dave Christie. It's my pleasure to be here with you tonight. Joining me in the commentary booth, it's a very warm welcome back to Joe Peake, and down in pit lane again, hopefully we get him all night tonight, it's our boy Tapelo Merioli. Joe, firstly, welcome to Bathurst. Season 2's visit to Mount Panorama was quite an interesting affair. It's never short of excitement.
Yeah, it's a track that honestly kind of separates the boys from the men, if you will. You have to take risks. You have to try and get it up against the wall if you want to be fast here. But that said, there is something to just simply bringing the car home. Attrition will be high. So if you're a driver that usually doesn't have the speed, which is honestly kind of my wheelhouse, just trying to see the checkered flag will often net you a much better result.
And Tapelo, obviously, we've got a busy championship that is up there just now. Just about 21 points separating them at the halfway stage. It's going to be crucial for them to get those points tonight, isn't it?
It is. This is going to be important now that we're hitting that halfway mark and heading off to Misano next time. I'm sure there's some drivers that are going to be looking forward to see the other side of this and head off to a much more open track, but they're not done with it because we have places like Spa, which definitely bite, and then of course ending out on the Nordschleife, which is more like Bathurst on steroids. So they're not out of the woods, and you still got to be all in it.
You absolutely do, and of course this is what they are all fighting for this season, a $1,250 prize pool thanks to our wonderful partners, and you can see there first place getting a cool $530 plus a 3-month Coach Dave Delta submission and IMB gloves as well to boot. So a huge thank you to IMB Racewear, to Coach Dave Delta, and of course to Genisus Extreme and Genisus Risk as well, our title partners as well. Now, another thing that we have to talk about as well is our brand new partnership that we've got with the ACC Drive as well. We, through the course of the past couple of races, have been giving you the limited edition chance to get a lifetime license to ACC Drive. It's your one-stop shop for everything Assetto Corsa Competizione. Do you need a virtual crew engineer to help get the very best out of your performance? Do you need some HUD overlays, or do you need something a little bit special for your stream? Get your lifetime license to ACC Drive now for just €25 for a limited time only. Scan the QR code in the bottom right of your screen and find out a little bit more. Tapelo, firstly, welcome back. Obviously, you know, we're at the halfway point, and this is now really where the drivers have to show up. There's only 3 drop rounds in the championship. A lot of the drivers already used their get out of jail free card. They have to get going here tonight. And unfortunately, Tapelo has left us for a short while, so we will get him back as soon as we can. In the meantime, while I go and throw a tin can and some string down the hill here at Mount Panorama, let's go and check out some highlights from the previous rounds. cars on the grid then, and it's Jack Alexander in pole position. Sharing that front row with him, as we said, is the number 19 Ferrari of Grantis Caracas. Moving on to row 2, and in third position, Maciej Malinowski in that 992 random pastable Porsche. We get ready to go green flag racing here as the green flag drops. 60 minutes, 28 cars, and this is going to be round 5 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. Have a look at Malinowski. He's having a look up the inside of Caracas, gets shoved off onto the grass. That's surely going to get looked at a little bit later on by race control there. A chaotic start to the race, but the Ferrari of Grandes Caracas put down into P2 there, and that was an aggressive move there by Jack Alexander. Well, so this is the race started. So let's keep an ID then. This is Jack Alexander on the left-hand side. Now look at the run that the Porsche of Maciej Malinowski gets there. And again, it's not once, not twice, not three. It's so different. That car does not need to be there. We had a couple of drive-through penalties. I wonder if that is because the car's not in the right position. We've got chaos in the background there. At least 5 cars involved there. You've got the 88, the 65, and the number 3. You've got Marco Bischoff is involved in that. Florian Durkhoff was in it. Turn 1, you've got 2 Ferraris behind as well. Blocks at the last minute there, and Eamon Murphy somehow threads the eye of the needle. I cannot believe what I've just seen here. Tries to get it round there. That was a sensational move there, Joe.
Maybe we could have had an exciting 3-wide run into the first turn instead of a penalty, and now the leader going off. Now we're going to look at it one more time so he can stay patient here. Okay, so we could see the wheel move just slightly there, David, twice.
See a move side by side here. Alexander Mayet's in here for the UCR blue and yellow machine. Makes move up the inside of Noel Hatchey and takes that position there.
Like you're being held up, as it looks like Foch is going to try and go around the outside and be able to get that one done. So that's going to move him up into 25th past not Nielsen. I think that's Hashe. Yes. Bischoff, though, getting wheel to wheel is going to be on the wrong side down into Seat. Oh, he doesn't need it. He is fully through. Nice move by the 2 car to get 13th.
Pulls late out into turn 1. Battle of late breakers. Very close, and that was always going to be contact with the 2 of them there.
Someone who has an accident like our leader could wind up ahead of you. Now, congrats, let's get this out of the wall because he's not moving.
That's a hardware failure. Let's see. Right, so we're on board then, coming through the final chicane. Through the right-hander. Over wide. Yeah, car's done. I mean,
He's
that
still
is
steering it, but I wonder if the monitor, the monitor went out or something like that. Everybody's giving each other space, but they're going to be losing a ton of time. The 65 goes off. He just got his wheels in the dirt, and that's all it needed to shove him. Oh, but more problems. Barrier making contact. Was that Boothby?
I think it was, and I think Boothby's already had a penalty tonight for contact. That might very well be another little trip to the steward's office on that one, and it's an unlikely win for Amadeo Castorino, always the bridesmaid but never the bride. That ends tonight here at Barcelona. It's a race win for the number 23 Aston Martin. It's Tommy Rozier who crosses the line for Genesis Esports in 2nd position, but it's going to be Chris Hartfeld to take 3rd place, Mikhail Stasenko in 4th position, Noah Eder in 5th, Eamon Murphy. Another fun-filled adventure here at the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, but would you expect anything else? Well, you can see that our viewer giveaway is already in effect just now. Simply type in GSRC into the YouTube chat to get yourself in with a chance of winning a $10 Steam voucher, which is perfect for getting all of those little add-ons and the cheeky little sales that Steam always does. In the meantime, though, let's go and check out the standings. We did mention them very briefly there, but you can see Amadeo Castorino at the top of the table from George Boothby by just 21 points. Very little in it. It's then just another 6 points back to Gruntis Caracas, and then 9 points back to Chris Hartfeld, 1 point back to both Philippe Minard and Maciej Malinowski, another 9 points back to Tommy Rozier, then it's another 12 points, I had to work that one out there, to Valentin Barrier, then it's another 8 points back to Mikhail Statsenko, and then Jaroslav Honzik, 7 points back. The thing with it, with that, Joe, is that it's unbelievable how close it is, given that it's almost all single digits.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you look at even from first to 10th, you've got about 70 some odd points right there. So, yeah, that's impressive that the drivers have been that consistent across. The drop round does help, as we're going to check out how qualification is going here. But that just tells me that you cannot have a bad week in the second half of the season. You need to make sure that you're consistent.
Sorry, I'm sorry for immediately bursting in with a squeak there, Joe, but I mean, we cut to qualifying, and it's the most dramatic sight of Gruntis Caracas coming through McPhillamy Park and almost sending it into the wall. I get the feeling that is something that we are going to see quite a lot of. So qualifying is coming to an end here, and I know I shouldn't be surprised with it, but god damn, this is close. 24 cars separate by 1 second, all the way down to Noel Hatchey in 24th. I mean, it feels like every week we say this and it becomes a meme at this point, but that's so awesome to see.
I mean, yeah, at this track with how long the lap is, that's incredible around here. And yeah, I mean, it seems like they're leaving nothing on the table. They're pushing it 10 tenths, and that's not the last crazy noise that we're going to hear from either of us tonight. There's going to be some weird sounds.
No, there definitely is. There's definitely going to be a lot of. It's going to be quite the vocabulary of interesting sounds. But we're watching Mikhail Statsenko, and the early observations here is that the Ferrari's doing very well, the Aston Martin's doing very well, McLaren's they're okay as well, but really it seems to be the Ferraris and the Astons that are kind of ruling the roost just now. 4 drivers within 1/10 of a second here, and really now this is crunch time. 2 minutes left to go. This is, if you've not started the lap, this is your final lap now.
Indeed. So you better not have made a mistake up to this point, as we see the Aston head down Conrad and then up the opposite. That was a little brush of the wall by Boothby, leaving quite literally nothing left at the edge of the track. As you can see just how close from this onboard you have to be as the walls just whip by. And this is where it goes back downhill now, through Skyline into the dipper right here. And that is because the wheels will literally come off the ground as it goes over that little drop, then through the S's until you finally come through Forest Elbow. And this is the most important corner perhaps, because you get up immense amounts of speeds down Conrad into the chase.
You absolutely do, and it's coming down this back stretch here. It's such a vital, brief moment of time for the drivers to be able to get their bearings together and really have a look through the different strategy pages on their MFD as Boothby then comes up into the chase here. So this is going to be his penultimate lap. He will get one more, but what we've found quite a few times here is that drivers just end up deciding enough's enough, as we see Sakari Lehtinen has just dumped their Honda. I don't know, maybe he's off to get a pot noodle, maybe he's off to get the toilet. I'm not sure on that one, but either way, George Boothby goes across the line as Amadeo Casarino straight up there, 158.670, just 2 1,000ths of a second ahead of Gruntis Caracas. That is the very, very definition of by the wire right now, but this is going to be so crucial right now here.
I mean, 5 cars 0.125 apart from one another over a lap that is nearly 2 minutes long. That's practically nothing around the lap. When they hit the line, if you laid them over top of each other, that's as though they were millimeters apart when they crossed.
It absolutely is. I mean, the simple fact is here, Joe, is that we've got 14 cars within half a second of the pace here. So that really does show just how incredible these drivers absolutely are out there. As Jaroslav Honzik comes into pit lane, we're watching Philippe Minard in the number 255 car. He's got halfway up the chase just now. Halfway up the hill, coming up through into the Quarry Bends. This is always one of the most difficult parts of the circuit, I think, here, because for me, it's one of those parts that you feel more confident than you actually are. When you're coming up through Quarry Bend, through Solomon Park, and then through McPhillamy, it's so easy to be overconfident, a little bit cocky, and either step out onto the grass or down here, lose it, and straight into the wall here, Joe.
Yeah, and that's the big thing about them, is that you're just testing those margins, and you have to get right up against it. You're carrying so much speed. You're committed. There's no backing out of it. It's either you make it or you don't.
It really is. And you know, the whole thing about Mount Panorama is that it takes absolutely no prisoners whatsoever. It doesn't care whether you are the championship leader. It doesn't care whether you are in the mid-pack. It will absolutely take you without even thinking about it. But qualifying is done and dusted. Dale Casarino doesn't improve on his time. Caracas has nothing in store. Mikhail Statsenko might be. He's in third place just now in the 144, currently making his way around the final couple of corners just now. So does Mikhail Statsenko have anything in the track? He does! Statsenko right at the end by 1/10 of a second, 158.567. It's not over yet as Albin Manson jumps up into the top 10. P8 from P14 there, and we are seeing some big moves right now. Henry Meyer goes over into the top 20, and I'm loving the team name on that one now, the Missing Tubbies on that one, as they were politely asked to change their livery for being completely inappropriate. I've got to be honest, I want to start a Twitter campaign, Free the Tubbies. We'll see if we can get that one going. But either way, let's turn our attention to the race coming up here then, Joe. An amazing performance there for Mikhail Statsenko right at the last gasp, 158.567. But the question that was in YouTube chat is how many drivers will the mountain climb tonight? I don't think that's the right question. I think it's how many drivers will survive to the end tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why I said, keep it on the island and you'll find yourself in a good spot. But if you want to take the win, it's that careful balance. How hard do I feel comfortable pushing it? How precise can I be to wring everything I can out of it without throwing it away accidentally? But there's also the question of, will I get collected by somebody else's issue, especially on the first few laps when everything is all cramped together with the entire field in one clump?
Yeah, so let's go through the field just now then, as we've got a couple of minutes. Just actually quickly on that, Joe, then, for a number, how many cars do you think we're going to have finishing tonight?
Let's see, how many do I have total here? 31. I'm going to say we'll see 19 at the finish. I was feeling really bad because I was away to say 18, but I don't feel so bad now. We're both about the same length on that. Yeah, okay. I think it's going to be quite a brutal race tonight. But either way, it's Mikhail Statsenko then on the front row of the grid, alongside Amadeo Casarino pipping him at the last moment in qualifying. Grantas Caracas will start on row 2 alongside Philippe Minard. On row 3, it's going to be Marco Lomi in the Aston Martin alongside George Boothby in the 800. Veloci Ferrari. Marco Bischoff starts in 7th place on row 4 in the McLaren of Team Nitro, and then it's Albin Manson for Genesis in the 127 McLaren in 8th position. On row 5 is going to be Eamon Murphy alongside Maciej Malinowski. That is the Veloci car versus the Random Pastable Racing Porsche, the only Porsche that we'll see tonight. Jaroslav Honzik starts on row 6 for Veloci Esports in the 39 Aston Martin, fresh from Renault Clio Cup action at the weekend. Let's see how he gets back to the virtual stuff tonight. 12th position alongside him is going to be Noah Ader in the 46 McLaren for Team Nitro. Then it's Florian Durkop on row 7 in the 63 Honda, alongside Luke Harrison for Genesis Esports in the 13 Ferrari. Row 8 is going to be Corey Sherritt alongside Tariq Adam. It's a Genesis Esports lockout on that row. 38 Ferrari with the number 9 McLaren. Tommy Rozier in the Genesis Esports 29 McLaren is in 17th place on row 9 alongside Valentin Barry. That's Valentin Barry, who is not Jaroslav Honzik. I'm just telling that for myself through the course of the race. Anyway, the 72 Aston Martin lines up in P18. Sakari Lehtinen is in row 10 alongside Abe Santima, and then is Jimmy Holm, the homing missile, in the best team name ever, the Porsche Spinala Racing Team, the 777 Lamborghini on that one, is alongside Henry Meyer on row
11 on the sim racing setup at Jose Lopez Setups 99 McLaren. Samir Foch is on row 12 alongside Tobias Moberg, and then on row 13 Noel Hatchey is alongside Fleming Bauer, with Ronaldo Boersma on row 14 alongside Elliot Watts. Row 15 is going to be Jonathan Clifford in the 999 Lamborghini, and he is going to be alongside Christian Fenter in 30th position, the big bad 31 BMW. At the back of the field, last but no means least, Thomas Trollope in the 316 McLaren, and I'm pretty sure I don't recognise that name, so I think we might have a debut on our hands here tonight.
Yeah, so that's quite the way to come in at a track like this. So hope you've got your wits about you, jumping into the deep end and then some on this one. But big things about this track is not just the survival, but setting yourself up to make those overtakes. It's definitely possible, just not usually over the mountain. It's here up along Mountain Straight. Well, we'll get there here in a second on the warm-up lap. Once they're out of Hell Corner, you'll see here, yes. So this is Mountain Straight, one of the longest ones you've got coming up towards Griffin's Bend. Great place to try and start a pass, but if you don't have it done by Griffin's Bend, that's not really a corner where you want to go too wide through. Then on the way down, the Conrad Straight, a little bit longer. It's downhill, so it's much, much faster, but it leads into the Chase. And that is definitely a place where you can try and outbrake your opponents. That game of chicken often sees drivers out into the gravel. So watch those two action zones.
That is exactly what we are going to be watching out for over the course of the next 90 minutes here indeed. Remember, it's a 90-minute race, not a 60-minute race. We do this every 3 races. We have a nice bumper length adventure. What better place to do it than Bathurst Mount Panorama? Oh my me, as if you needed any extra time around this place. I bet a lot of the drivers tonight are going to be wishing that it was just 60 minutes. So it's a fairly chilled warm-up lap just now. Safety team obviously enjoying things. They're getting their cup of hot chocolate, I think, on the go. It'll be the last time they get a little virtual biscuit before we go racing tonight, because they are going to be very, very busy with their strong hands on the flags tonight, because it is going to be absolutely nuts. But the cars making their way up over the hill here, and again, it's going to be a case of just keeping it all balanced, I think, for the first 15 minutes here, because it's going to be absolute chaos. It's such an early stage, and what we'll see is I've been lulled into a false sense of security before with this, because on some of the other races I've seen, lap 1, turn 3, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket. And then I made the mistake in season 2. They all survived lap 1. I'm like, oh my god, this has been so very well behaved. And then immediately the next corner, 15 car pile up on this. So yeah, they're going to have to watch this. But again, Joe, we're coming into the halfway point of the season now. Do you think that points actually enters the minds of these drivers at all now, or is it still just a race and they're still just out to get as many positions as they possibly can?
I hear so many drivers saying, oh, I try not to think about that. That doesn't really worry me, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I frankly don't believe it 90% of the time, especially the front runners. The front runners who know they've got a shot at the championship are probably trying to consider those things. As I think Statsenko maybe having a few connection problems, or is this, I guess maybe the ghosting is normal on the pace lap apparently. Yeah, I think if you're up at the sharp end of the points right now, you're trying to weigh that into a number of your decisions. You need to try and keep track of, is this worth it? Because that's what racing is all about. It's risk versus reward. Is this worth what I'm about to do if it goes wrong?
And the thing with that as well is that there's no real right answer for that, because it's a split-second decision that the drivers are going to have to make when they're going to be making their moves here. And let's face it, sim racing drivers especially, aren't the best at making on-the-fly decisions here, as we've seen throughout the course of the season. But either way, round 6 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship is about to get underway, brought to you thanks to the wonderful partners at Genisus Risk, your one-stop shop for cybersecurity here in South Africa. Proud suppliers of Immersive Labs. We'll talk a little bit more about them through the course of the race. We'll also talk about some more exciting news to do with the Genisus Extreme YouTube channel. But for just now, all eyes are on Murray's Corner, because we are about to go racing for 90 minutes here. 6:30 in server time just now. It means we'll be racing through the golden hour and into the light dusk. Mikhail Statsenko in the 144 Ferrari alongside Amadeo Castorino, ready to go green here as the green flag flies here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. We run down a hill corner for the first time, and that is some very defensive driving already. Have a look at Grantis Caracas already side by side with Castorino. It's a great run there from Statsenko as they run up the hill for the first time. I think it's going to be a straight up drag race between the Ferrari and that Aston Martin, and that Ferrari looks like it might be getting the legs. There's Philippe Minard as well in the background trying to block things off, and there we go, the job is done by Grantis Caracas up to P2 already as we come up through the hill for the first time of asking here, Joe.
Caracas was making a brave move cutting across like that, but he must have known he was clear because there was inches between them as they head through the cutting. This is where it gets extremely dangerous, and especially up here through Quarry, my goodness. And you can see a few of them trying to get single file, but it doesn't for one. Did that cause a big accident? I couldn't see.
It looked like it did, but somehow there was only one car involved in that, maybe two cars there. That's unreal. What's even worse is that it was a Genesis esports car, so yeah, that's going to be a big penalty for that. I believe Clifford got caught up in that as well. Jonathan Clifford as well for Alpha Simsport. Well, at least he's got a little bit of time to get himself sorted out. He's going to try and slide around. That's not the best. I get the feeling that this is going to be, that's going to be a while. As the 316 coming into issues as well then, as that is Thomas Trollope, our brand new debut for this year, has already met Skyline and gets going again here. I mean, to be fair, we've had much worse starts to an opening lap here.
Yeah, I mean, only losing two cars is honestly better than I thought it was going to be here, although we're not quite done with this first lap yet, as we still have one more corner to go for most of the field. And there you go. Some of our leaders just dominoes as they punt one another, and somebody went off. Was that Barrier? No, that was
Castorino. That was our second place on the grid driver. Got absolutely cue-balled into the corner pocket there, and wow, that was aggressive to say the least. The red mist has absolutely descended on Amadeo Castorino. I've got to be honest, I do not blame him right now. Obviously, it's not the fault of anyone around him right now, but I think that our very own 201 car of, who is that? That's Marco Lomi. I think Marco Lomi is going to get absolutely smacked around the face with a hammer from our admin team on that one, because that was a brutal hit there, late onto the brakes into Murray's Corner there, as Marco Bischoff we're on board with just now. Looking at Marco Lomi, you saw that car just hit the back of Marco Bischoff. Bischoff then punted straight into the back of Castorino, and that was all they wrote on that one. But somehow, we're only 2 minutes into this race. It feels like we've already done quite a few moments here. And what I love here, Joe, is that obviously to peel back the curtain a little bit here, well, obviously we're doing the commentary on this, but we get the wonderful sound effects from our broadcast production team as well.
Yeah, they're just as thrilled. I mean, everything that you hear, this is genuine. We're shocked at the things that are going on often. We're not putting on a show. I mean, we are, but it's these are true emotions that you're getting out of us watching these drivers, because we're also sim racers, so we've experienced what it's like trying to thread the needle at this track and know how scary it can be. And so far, it's been a little too scary for some of them, unfortunately, as Lomi here seeing if he can maybe make a move on Bischoff, but he's not close enough coming through the chase. He gets a good exit. Now, Murray's Corner can sometimes see passes, but it's a much trickier left-hander than you'd expect, especially considering it's a simple 90 degrees. That curve on the inside can bounce you off, but thankfully, they both treat it with respect.
Yeah, this time at least. I'm not so sure that Amadeo Castorino is going to have much to say on that one, but either way, we go on to lap 3 as everyone gets going round. We've got a yellow flag there, and that is going to be for the number 4 car of of Fleming Bauer, who has retired to the pit lane, so we've lost yet another car. That puts us down to 27 cars just now, although Sakari Lehtinen has got going again. Sakari Lehtinen did bring out the yellow flag just last lap there, as we're back watching George Boothby right now. He's chasing down Philippe Minard, and to be honest with you, this is a bit of a train right now, because Mikhail Satsenko and Grantis Caracas right now opened up a 3.2 second gap here at the lead of the field, and Minard basically just running for his life in that BMW.
If you're good with the pressure from behind, this is honestly a great position to be in, because Minard essentially gets to dictate the pace, as we've got a bit of a replay from one of those incidents earlier. If you're the car behind, you're so much more vulnerable if that car ahead of you makes a mistake. This is Durkop trying to go to the inside down at the chase, and maybe, unfortunately, losing the grip on the exit. You can wind up asking a little too much of the tires through there, and that's exactly what he did.
To be fair, that was very polite of Florian Durkop there to go for the move and then apologise by immediately putting himself off to the grass at the chase there. But again, plenty of time to dust the boots down and get back onto it here. But again, you know, with this little fight that we've got here, they're going to be laughing to themselves, I think, because Statsenko and Grantis Caracas right now, because they're breaking away. Remember, we've got that mandatory pit stop that drivers have to take through the course of the race here, and you know, if they use that up too early, there's only so much fuel that these cars can actually take in them. So you're basically going to be looking at, I think, basically 55 minutes onwards, maybe more towards 40 minutes before some of these drivers are going to pit.
Well, and this is definitely a track with these long straights that you can try to play the fuel game too. So if you've got someone that you are having a hard time trying to overtake, sometimes it behooves you to just kind of settle into a rhythm that matches their lift and coast and their slipstream at the end of those long straights, and use them to pull you along. In a 90-minute race, you could probably save a good amount of fuel here.
You possibly could, but I wonder if it's enough to actually change anything, really. I do wonder if a lot of these cars are just actually going to go for it, but it's more in terms of like the tyre life here. What also gets me is, as we see our first penalty coming in for Noah Ader, we'll get confirmation on that when it comes up from race control in a minute here, but Amadeo Castellino here, all over the back of Noah Ader. What worries me is, you know, the reaction time that these cars give themselves is absolutely nothing. Let's check out the message from race control then. And incident between cars 46 and 13 on lap 1. So Noah Ader coming into contact with Luke Harrison in that number 13 Ferrari. It's a 15-second time penalty for car 46 for causing a collision. I have a feeling that these stewards are going to be very, very busy on this race tonight here.
Yeah, I already have a couple things that they're probably looking at after those first couple laps. Is Murphy going to look on the inside, and he's going to get his elbows out, and unfortunately nudges his fellow McLaren completely off track and lose another to our lone Porsche.
Yep, that's right. So drops down to 10th position. Manson is not going to be best pleased by that, because he's going to feel like he was shoved off there, when in fact he kind of tried to turn into a car that was already up in beside him. For me, I think that was a bit of a racing incident, but we'll leave that to the stewards, as that's one way to get rid of an opponent, I guess, there from Tariq Adam. And that was for Noah Ader. So Ader's having a bit of an interesting day today, but that now leaves Tariq Adam vulnerable to the likes of Tommy Rozier and Cody Sherritt as well here. So Amadeo Castellino getting a bit of a breathing space here as the cars swap in position. And up at the front, Mikhail Statsenko leading Grantis Caracas by just 0.2 of a second. The gap to Philippe Minard up to 4.2 seconds. So now that we've kind of got a little bit of order in this race here, I'm also seeing the clouds in the background. I'm wondering how the weather's going to pan out for this race just now here. But you know, with them starting to get a little bit of rhythm into the race here, you know, at what point do you think the drivers can kind of just calm down a little bit and start to focus on getting through, say, the majority of this race, say like 50, 60 minutes of it?
I don't think there's a particular time. I think the point at which they're able to do that is usually when they don't have anybody behind them or ahead of them, and you can race your own race. Because this is the type of track where you race the track and not each other. I mean, obviously you're going to have to be in some battles and do some overtakes out here, but your first job in this one is to just make sure and keep the car whole until you get to the checkered flag. And adding in the extra difficulty of Caracas here, battling with Statsenko, that's a tall order. Now, so far it seems like he's stayed nice and patient, which is honestly really the way you need to be this early in the race. But if he can, like I was saying earlier, if he can save just a hair of fuel, I know even if it's not much, if you have a 0.3 of a second quicker pit stop than your rival, that can be the difference between having track position.
As Noah Ater into the pit lane, and unfortunately it looks like we've lost that car from the race as well, so that's another retirement. Such an early stage of the race here, and it looks like we're down quite a few as Thomas Trollope comes in at pit lane. Now, we did see Thomas having a bit of a moment at the bottom of the hill, so maybe coming in with some damage on that car to get that thing repaired. Comes back out and has done that, but obviously that doesn't count as his mandatory pit stop because that window hasn't yet happened. So an hour and 20 minutes left to go. We move up the field to Maciej Malinowski, and Lone Porsche actually starting to cause a bit of havoc here, pulling his way through the field, but he's got a 2.5 second gap if he's able to dispatch Eamon Murphy here and actually get past the McLaren. So while things have kind of calmed down a little bit here, Joe, one of the big things that we've got to announce this week that I hinted at just as we were beginning the warm-up to this race here is that the announcement here that Genisus Extreme have acquired GSRC, the Global Sim Racing channel, and I guess there's no finer person to tell us a little bit more about that than yourself.
Absolutely. Been a part of it and owned it since 2013. And so this is a big time in my life to be able to hand it over, but I couldn't be any happier about Daniel Costello and Gareth Hawkins up in charge at Gareth Extreme, at Genesis Extreme, to take it over. Fantastic guys who know their stuff. Daniel's one of the best producers, directors that we've got in sim broadcasting. So I have complete faith in what they're going to do, taking the channel forward. And like I said, 11 years of history. We've built up a lot on the channel. I'm still going to be on air over there, so it's not like I'm leaving. And I look forward to seeing what they're going to do to help push it farther forward and just improve the quality of the shows.
As we see a penalty coming through for Marco Lomi. We'll come back to that in just a second. We're watching a little bit of action here with Valentin Barry fighting with Albin Manson. But going back to GSRC then, talk us a little bit through the early days and how the channel came about then, because obviously from my experience of it, it is one of the most refreshing channels out there. The races that it covers, the championships that it's a part of, and it's a real... it really changes things up, where it feels like it's a glut of F1 sim racing, of GT3s, GT4s and TCR. It's just something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why when we first formed it, we decided, because we didn't want it to be just, American oval racing or any specific type of racing. We are all race fans. So that's why the Global Sim Racing channel is that we'll cover anything in the world. And to tell you the truth, it came about kind of by accident, because it was just a bunch of us that raced in a league together that was covered by another channel, and that channel couldn't cover us anymore. And we thought, well, we feel like we could maybe do a bit better job than they had been doing with us. And so there was about 4 of us that looked at one another and said, you know how to do this, and you know how to do this. Why don't we, give it a shot? And that's where GSRC came from. And I honestly, I came from a video background, so I initially wanted to be one of the director producers, but I didn't have a computer that could handle it, so they said, Joe, try commentary, and I said, I'll give it a shot. Well, now it's my career, so there's that.
the rest, as they say, is history. But I mean, like I said, as we see, I'll come back to that in a second, as Valentin Barry tries to make a move up the inside, gets involved with the McLaren of Albin Mattinson. It's a little bit of elbows out right now, and the Aston Martin can't quite make that happen, so Valentin Barry having to stick behind. He's got Jardier just behind as well in the other Aston Martin just now, so the Aston Martin's really stuck down in that midfield. But again, just finishing that off then, how did the merger come about, and how did you two cross paths?
So I think we first crossed paths with the Williams Esports shows. Both of us do work with them with iRacing's eNASCAR series, which is a ton of fun to do. And from there, just got to know Daniel and as well Steve Proudley, who is another producer that we have on that, and just come to love working with Daniel. And I think as time went by, he naturally started doing stuff for GSRC. And we got a problem here for Luke Addison, who's facing the wrong way. We've already seen this is tough to try and get turned around, so he's going to do his best to sort of get that K turned and back facing the right way. But just through working with Daniel, I came to know him as a very safe pair of hands, very knowledgeable and great with his creativity and sense of story. So when the time came that I essentially, I've now want to focus mostly on commentary instead of running the business, and I have real world stuff that I'm getting to do, I knew I needed to hand it aside. And as I started going over who do I trust, Daniel and Gareth were top of the list.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you part of the Genisus Extreme family, and a very warm welcome aboard. And two things I'd like to add to that. One is that that was all completely free will, what Joe Peak just said there, and absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Daniel Costello is behind the scene with the mute button like the sword of Damocles over his head. And secondly, this channel is now going to be renamed to Gareth Extreme. That's it. It's now a thing that we are. This is now the Gareth Extreme Kaizen Championship. That's what we have to refer to for the rest of the season here. But Marco Lomi then, let's cover this then, because he's got a 15-second time penalty then, and that is I didn't remember if we got that up on screen there, but that was for the incident with Amadeo Castorino. Yeah, there you go. For the incident with the 201 and the 255. Oh no, wait, actually that's 255. Oh yeah, sorry. So he hit Philippe Minard, and then Minard went sliding into Amadeo Castorino. So yeah, ultimately it's the same event, but it was the first car that he hit in that pile. An unfortunate incident, but a culpable incident nonetheless.
I mean, as we've seen today, you're going to have to try and make a few aggressive moves here and there. So some drivers just are going to step over the line. It happens. That comes down to that judgment call that you have to make. Is Lomi going to be a little bit side by side? And I think, is this with Bischoff here?
No, it's with Boothby. So Boothby's actually trying to make a move on that Aston Martin as they go side by side. This is a bit ballsy here from George Boothby, but I guess you're not going to see anything else from him. Gets that inside line. The Aston Martin is going to try and turn in, and you're never going to make that happen on the McLaren. You're then going to have Eamon Murphy on the inside line, and that's going to be a very, very frustrated Marco Lomi. Is going to try and make a dive up the inside. Is he late on the brakes? Does get it stopped, does get slowed down, but that is how you go from 0-0, 2 places lost in the space of 4 corners.
Yeah, they are going immensely fast by the time they hit the brakes there, because the chase is flat out, and that little kink on the way into that chicane. So you're not lifting basically from Forest Elbow all the way to there. I wouldn't be surprised if they're hitting 170, 180 by that point. Easily. And we do have to say, get well soon to Noah Ada. Just had it updated in chat that he's suffering from a flu-like illness just now, and that's why he's had to pull out of the race tonight. That's horrible. I've been in that situation before, and it when it turns something that you really, really enjoy into something that you just cannot be bothered, and literally all you want to do is just cuddle into your pillow instead. We all know how grim that is. So get well soon from everyone here at the channel and the championship, and hopefully we'll have you back up for next week. But
this has been, at the front, a battle that we've not really seen too much of, because it's not really a battle, is it? I mean, there's nothing that Grantis Caracas is doing to force the issue here other than sticking to the feet of Mikhail Statsenko right now.
Well, and I believe they are teammates there on the Scuderia Ferrari esports team. So they're kind of working together. I don't blame them. The gap that they've managed to pull up to this stage is all the way up to 7.5 seconds. And that's a really good thing to have. Like I said, the fewer cars you have around, the more you can really focus on the track itself. And I think that's behooving them to hold off on any sort of battles. And maybe they even have an agreement. If one of them is leading by X lap, that, you know, they're allowed to bring home the win and the other has to play the sport.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about it, is a great team can achieve incredible things together, and that's exactly what we're seeing with the 144 and the 19 tonight here. Leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else, 7.7 seconds ahead of Philippe Menard. Let's look outside the top 10 then. Valentin Barry, not really a surprise to see him on the cusp of the top 10 just now. It seems to be his modus operandi, qualify outside the top 10, get inside the top 10 the first half an hour, and then slowly but surely claw their way up through the field and be around about top 5 by the time that the race is over. So a nice solid performance so far from Valentin Barry. Just now you've got Amadeo Casarino, who, I've got to be honest, I think is the air inside that cockpit matches the colour of that car that Amadeo is in right now, just behind him, that electric blue machine. Tommy Rozier is then 5 seconds back as well, with Jardier, Jaroslav Honzik in 13th position, Tariq Adam in 14th position. But again, one thing that we've constantly said through this championship here, Joe, is that regardless of your pace, regardless of your skill level, you've got at least 3-4 cars that you're going to have to fight very hard for.
Absolutely, and we're watching on board here. Look at the time that he's losing, which is interesting through the belt section. That's not a bad place to be just a bit slower. If you're quicker here, that's where it matters. But he definitely wasn't, as he slipped up out of Forest Elbow, and he's going to hold the very middle of the track. Now this will be the outside of the little kink, but the inside of the chicane. That's the important thing. We've seen how many times already the inside line seems to have the advantage.
Side by side though, as they come down through it, and that is so very close between the two of them. Casarino just so close to actually getting that position done, but Barry holding on to that 10th position against the number 23 car just now, as we are rapidly approaching that pit stop window. Does Casarino actually have anything in the bag? Looks one way then the other, but again, what I like about Casarino is that he never forces the matter. He never just shoves his nose in just because he can. He always wants to make sure that he's going to get the move done firmly and fairly before he'll actually attempt it.
Well, and that's, we've seen this whole season that Casarino is the kind of driver that just brings the car home. So that's going to be frustrating for him, that he was kind of caught up innocently in somebody else's issue earlier in this race. And again, he's trying to just make good on it, little by little, pick his way through, make good decisions, and make sure that the car is safe no matter what he tries out there.
A little bit further back then, this is the fight for 12th position. You can see Tommy Rozier at the front of this group here. Jaroslav Honzik, Tariq Adam, Cody Shera also in there as well. A little bit further back is Tobias Mulberg and Abe Santima down there around at top 20. Florian Durkop, Henry Meyer, and the homing missile Jimmy Holm in the Spinella Racing 777 Lamborghini here. Another penalty going to be coming in very shortly. Again, we'll read that out when we get the confirmation from race control here. But watching Tariq Adam just harassing Jaroslav Honzik right now, this is so distracting for a driver. When you're in front here, you're pushing as much as you can to get that message from race control confirming it's an incident between car 14 and 63. It's a warning for the 63. So that is Florian Durkop, and that was with Abe Santima. So that's a warning for causing a collision. As we see side by side coming through the chase edge, Jaroslav Honzik under pressure here from Tariq Adam. Tariq tried to make that happen there, I'll be honest, that's a scary, dangerous place there, Joe, to try and make a move work, and it didn't look like Jaroslav was expecting any of that at all.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of have to expect the unexpected here. Is we got another penalty, this time not just a warning, and that's for Murphy. So one of our front runners getting a 5-second penalty that I assume he's going to be serving when he takes his pit stop. Now, how close are those behind him, it looks like? Yeah, he's going to lose a couple positions here.
Yeah, because when he comes in, obviously that'll be extra stationary time then. So maybe he can change something with that with the strategy. Certainly, it's not as bad as like Marco Lomi's 15 seconds there, but it will drop him several places. Still, with how close the entire field is at this point in time, given that it's a 90-minute race that we've got here tonight, not just the standard 60 minutes, although they are already coming up to just about half an hour done here as we're watching Noel Hache down in 24th position. He is chasing down Ronaldo Boersma for 23rd and proving the point exactly about, it doesn't matter where you are in the field, doesn't matter where you are in the pack, you've always got a friend to fight with. So at the moment, we started with 31 cars, we're down to 27. So I mean, we've only lost a handful just now. It's going to have to ratchet up the pace if if me and you are going to be right on our 18 and 19.
I'll be happy to be wrong. If we have a lot more cars, I'll be very pleasantly surprised by that. But this is one where it can take a car out so quickly and easily, because if you make just one wrong move, you don't usually have small accidents here because of the speeds. So in most races, you have most of the cars out early, and then because you have fewer cars, it sort of trickles down in pace in terms of losses. Here, I think it's kind of more of a steady line on the graph that you'll lose one, and then a couple laps later you'll lose another, and so on.
Yeah, momentum and consistency are two of the most important factors, I think, here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, and that's what exactly we see in the lap times that are coming in thick and fast just now. But we are watching the battle for fourth position actually just now, as we've got Philippe Minard up there as well. So we've got a message from Race Control: instant for car 46 and car 9 on lap 5. That is a 5-second penalty. That's the one that we saw for Eamon Murphy. So that was with the number 9 of Tariq Adam. So a penalty, a 5-second penalty. It's obviously had some huge consequences, but again, remember, they punished the incident, not the outcome of that. So I think it's an important thing to remember. Cody Sherritt into the pit lane now. I did see last time round that car bringing out yellow flags coming down through Skyline. So obviously Cody Sherritt's had a bit of a moment, and with the fact that he's already gone in the pits and the window isn't open here, I would suggest he's maybe got some sort of damage to that car.
And for those that are wondering why they penalize those, even if there wasn't a bad outcome out of it, essentially think of it like if you try to rob a bank, you don't then say to the judge, I didn't get the money technically, so you still tried to rob a bank. They're going to put you away.
So that's where I've been going going wrong in my defence.
Yeah,
I'll remember that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Also noticing the gap at the front, slightly opening out as we see 4 tenths of a second. But this little battle here is opening up as well. Philippe Minard getting a little bit daylight for the first time ahead of Marco Bischoff and George Boothby. About half a second between the two of them just now. As we go to a replay then, I believe this is of Cody Sherritt on the mountain. So let's have a look here down through Skyline. He's already massively out of sync there onto the brakes, and yeah, that's it looks like an innocuous hit there into the wall, and then immediately clatters into his teammate. That's not going to leave him too popular. I believe that was Tobias Moberg that he bumped into there. He's going to have to buy a few coffees to get round that one.
Yeah, and that's what I had mentioned a little bit earlier, as we had a little battle here. Castorino, is he finally going to get by? No, still nothing. It's hard to pass into the cutting, so I'm not too shocked that he had to give that one up. It's better not to try too wide into there. but I was talking about earlier, someone in front of you has a mistake. It's narrow up here. These are literally streets when it's not a racetrack, so there's not much side to side. And when someone has a wreck, unless you're very quick and agile on trying to get the car slowed up, sometimes all you can do is pile into them.
And it's a strange phenomenon, actually. It's the first time I actually learned about it was watching when I was learning to ride a motorbike. Is the idea that you kind of drive where you look. That's essentially what happens. So if your eyes are distracted by somebody having an accident, that's where you drive. Instead, you should be turning your attention. You should be putting your eyes, your focus on the path around them. And that's the easiest way to avoid that. But I've been a victim of that many times as well. Not even like if they have a crash, but even if they say outbrake themselves and go wide, you'd be amazed at how many times the car directly behind them will do exactly the same. As we see Tariq Adam here fighting for 13th position. That's a great move up to P13, getting past Jaroslav Honzik. So Honzik actually dropping back quite considerably. Remember that Honzik was up into P12 there. I wonder if it's been a little bit of a moment. What there has been a moment there is Samir Fox getting past the man, the myth, the legend, the 777, the homing missile himself, Mr. Jimmy Home. As we go back to Maciek Malinowski and Marco Lomi coming up the straight here towards the right-hander. That was, I mean, made that look easy, as we've got another yellow flag and another retirement. It looks like it's going to be Ronaldo Boersma, who is, oh my God, that
was toast.
How'd you do that on the straight though? That car was like quite a bit of rounds.
Miscommunication would be my guess. If you're like that, holy cow, was that home?
Yeah, the homing missile, return to sender. Good God almighty.
It was a ballistic missile that time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is a bit of a misfire from Jimmy Home, and that car is going to go back to the pit lane. I'm devastated. Absolutely. Anytime we lose Jimmy Home, I mean, all I saw was the tail end of that, because I was looking at the timing screen, and all I saw was that Lamborghini just launching itself through the air in a fairly dramatic fashion. That was quite scary, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we've got a couple replays here, so let's see what we're going to see. Because
I feel like we need to get some biscuits and a cup of tea for this one. Goodness me. Right. So this is Ronaldo Boersma then. So he's already got a lot of damage here. But I got the feeling this is going to involve that car that's coming behind him.
Philby Park is my guess here.
Oh no, this car's just there. No. Oh, come on.
Unsafe re-entry is a common theme at Bathurst, and yeah, that one, I mean, he should have locked it up and towed it to pit lane, I think, in that situation. I've often heard race directors in events at Bathurst, not in real life, but in here, obviously in sim, say, if you get into an accident, just take the tow and suck it up, because it's better for everybody, including you. And then after that, car is now out of sorts, and I guess maybe something broke, or it just couldn't handle the speed, and that's how he wound up there. So it wasn't what I was saying. The second one, though, that we saw live was exactly what I was talking about, which is if you pitch a car off to the side, you can overdo it.
Oh, 100%. You absolutely can overdo it. I've got my detective hat on, and I've got my sleuthing glass out here, and I'm going to put two random facts together here. But remember the last lap I said that Cody Sherritt had brought out the yellow flag at the top of Skylight, and then he came back, he got going again, and it was a Genesis Extreme car that was involved in that top of the hill. I wonder if that was the oh no, so it was no Hatch over here, that it was at the top of the hill. Right, okay, I'll go and take off the goggles, and yeah, unfortunately. Right, let's have a look at what happened with this car then. So it loses it just coming up here. So yeah, it's done. It's absolutely done at this point. But this bit here, this is absolutely unforgivable for me, because he stopped and he just gets, nah. Nah.
Yeah, that's probably
not
gonna
having
be a
it.
penalty.
I'm not, and the thing is that obviously we show, love to our wonderful Genesis Extreme Racing team, but it's one of my absolute pet peeves. I absolutely detest that, and nah. Just not having it. Anyway, right, back to the race. Somehow we've broken into an hour left to go. The gap between the first two is close right back up again. That is because they have just passed some lap traffic. They have just got past Thomas Trollope, who is still out there. Fantastic to see on his Genisus Kaizen debut here. But this is a proper choo-choo train now. This is a truly train at its finest here. You've got Philippe Menard, Marco Bishop, George Boothby in there as well. You've got Eamon Murphy, Malinowski might be coming to join the party. Marco Lomi feels left out at the back there, Joe. This is building up nicely. Oh, it's done! That is going to be Marco Bishop into the wall, and just as the pit lane window opens, I mean, that might have just been his saving grace there. So Porsche tries to take it on the inside. What the hell is going on here?
Some very eager drivers, but I mean, credit to those behind him that did not wind up a massive wreck. Again, one of those single file areas that you don't usually get away, but you can see the severe damage on the right-hand side of that McLaren. Surely he's going to pit in and try to get that repaired.
Well, you'd think so, but I've seen stranger things happen here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, but that was very, very sketchy. And I think Maciej Malinowski is very grateful not to be sent to the moon after that one. But as we said, the pit lane window has opened, and I've got a funny feeling that Marco Bischoff might be one of the first drivers to take up on that pit window. However, the car does look scuffed up, but he doesn't look like he's too much down pace-wise, and he elects to stay out, so maybe just a bit of cosmetic damage so far.
This is the lap that's going to be telling, and not this one coming by, but this next one that he's just starting. If he's off the pace, then yeah, he'll want to consider it. But like you said, if the pace is pretty much the same, then yeah, you just keep out there and keep on trucking until you can reach pit lane. Hanzik instead going to be one of our first to bite.
Yep, jumps into pit lane then. Let's have a look at how we get on through here for the number 39 car. That car has also been in the wars. Stops to take his fuel and his pit stop. As we see Valentin Barrier as well. Still in this fight with Alvin Manson and Amadeo Casarino. Casarino, bless him, just hasn't been able to find a way past this Aston Martin. But what interests me is the fact that we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars within 3 seconds of each other on this fight for third position, and it looks like Manson, Barrier and Casarino are way join in as we see Nohache side by side with Christian Fenter and losing that position out there.
All right, so one more down for him. And oof, a little bit of an outbreak for Venter up into Griffin's Bend. Thankfully, does not wind up in the wall. It's easy to do that through there with how the car wants to understeer in that corner. The thing I wonder about Castorino is now that the pit window is open, is he going to try and stop to see if he can jump them, or does he not have enough of a gap of the cars behind him to be able to come out into clear air?
Well, that I'm interested in as well is maybe he just feels that the car isn't handling any differently at all, and certainly pace-wise, I mean, he seems still absolutely on it right now. We'll keep an eye on that. But certainly watching on the right-hand side as well here, that is Valentin Barry and Amadeo Casarino, as we've got a car off in the gravel just in front of us. There is that huge battle there for Philippe Menard. With George Boothby, Eamon Murphy, Marco Bischoff, Maciej Malinowski, Marco Lomi, Alvin Manson and Valentin Barrier all in that same shot now. I mean, that is... I think that might be the longest train that I've seen in ACC here.
It's definitely one of the longer ones. It's starting to form up quite a bit as we check in on that battle for the lead. Battle in air quotes between Caracas and Statsenko. How are they doing now? 13 seconds from Statsenko up to Menard. That is wild. We are just past a third of the way in this thing. So that means they're looking at potentially a half a minute ahead by the end of this race.
It's now 13 seconds. Good Lord, it's hemorrhaging time. And the thing is that it's because Minar is under so much pressure from Murphy, Bishop, Malowski and Lomé. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see it 15 seconds by the end of this lap here. It's just outrageous. It really, really is. And the thing is we know Philippe Minard is not a slow driver, but for whatever reason, just not able to hold anything to these Ferraris just now. And I imagine that's frustrating George Boothby quite a bit as we get a penalty for the number 13 car, and that is for causing a collision, and we'll come back to that in just a second, because here comes Amadeo Casarino then side by side with Valentin Barrier as they come through the chase here. This is very, very nervy stuff there, but Barrier slows down the car. Casarino tries to get the car back around the outside. He's going to have it. That's a beautiful run there from Casarino. That is one of the moves of the night so far. Absolutely beautiful, timed to perfection there from Amadeo Casarino, and wow, what a move.
That is the sort of move that you need to show at a driving school for the over-under. Just picture perfect. He timed it absolutely right. Now, the unfortunate thing is it seems like Barrier has a chance to fight back because they're coming up the mountain straight, but I think it seems like the slipstream isn't quite powerful enough today. You need the car ahead to make a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll be honest with you, I completely missed that race control message there. If we can get that back up, it'd be amazing to actually read through it, because I read it out. Yeah, 13 to 63, right? So the 13 then, that's Luke Addison, and the 63, who do we have as the 63? I'll find that out just now. I can't even tell you who the 63 is. I can't see it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Florian Durkup. On lap 8, 5 seconds to the 13 for causing a collision. Oh yeah, you can see the Honda at the bottom of the screen. So unfortunately, we lose a driver, but well, we've lost 2 of them because they're both out. So we're now down to, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're down to about 23 drivers left in this. We're slowly getting there, Joe. We're getting to our prediction here.
Yeah, it's looking more likely now at this stage. Like I said, that the graph is just kind of more of a straight line at this track, where you just see drivers drop like flies as time goes on, because this place does not forgive any sort of mistake, as Boothby here is starting to get on top of Minard once again, and just kind of threatening by showing himself in the mirrors down into Murray's corner. Let's see what he does out of hell. Again, one of the more important ones to try and get the throttle down as soon as you can.
Yeah, and when you say a straight line, what you mean is like a cliff edge. It's just a straight line down for the amount of cars that we're going to have left in the race, or a straight line up in terms of the amount of cars that we have retiring. But either way, it is a very, very steep line nonetheless. But here we go then, George Boothby. Now, was that just me, or did that sound a little bit like a lift there?
It may have been a little. I'll have to check next time, because I wasn't thinking to pay attention to it. And if it is, then yeah, Boothby's trying to play a little bit of fuel games here behind that Mercedes, which is not BMW, which is not a bad idea, because the Bimmer is a bit of a bigger car, so it's going to punch a decent-sized hole in the air, which means he should be able to save more.
I'm absolutely disgusted in you, Joe Peak. How dare you fat shame the BMW? It's curvy. Well, no, you can't
it's
even
not
say
the
it's
big boy
it's
anymore.
Not curvy, is it?
It's not
It's
the
like a
GTE.
box. It's a shoebox on wheels. Well, saying that, at least it's no M8. I'll give it that. It's no M8
Yeah,
GTE.
exactly.
It's although to be fair, it's like the M8's younger, slightly more reformed brother, isn't it?
I thought you were going to say it's thicker cousin or something, or less thick cousin.
Well, with 2 C's.
Yeah.
Oh, we've reached that point already. 45 minutes into the broadcast, we've already lost it. Goodness me. Right, Grandes Caracas then for Scuderia Ferrari jumps into pit lane and leaves Statsenko to fend for themselves. That is obviously a bit of strategy going on there, but we have got the top 15 still left to pit. And we are just rapidly approaching here the halfway mark here of round 6 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship Season 3, as that is a busy pit lane, and that's a very, very cheeky Maciej Malinowski trying to do a little bit of mind games there on the McLaren, but it's not quite going to work. Marco Bischoff, I think, will have the upper hand here as Valentin Barry into pit lane as well.
This is one of those tracks where you can make up a lot of time on pit entry because it has its own set of chicanes on your way into it, which makes them quite tricky, honestly. But pushing it can also make you look a fool very easily. I've seen a number of drivers who have wrecked the car trying to hustle in there a little too quick.
Yeah, I've actually seen a car lodge itself into the tyre wall here at Bathurst. As entertaining as that is, it wasn't my car, so I can actually enjoy that a little bit, because I've also lodged the car in several walls here.
Who doesn't enjoy some Schadenfreude?
It is, especially when it's somebody that is like insanely fast and you could only ever dream of catching up to. Either way, Maciej Malinowski comes out of pit lane, and as I said, Marco Bischoff does stay ahead. Now, my question is that BMW, because when they do go in, I think that's going to unleash the likes of Boothby and Castorino, and well, there we go. I think it's going to fall down very, very quickly indeed when it does decide to actually go down, because everybody else can lap obviously much faster than what they were able to do behind that car, but it's a case of actually getting ahead of that car to prove it, or out of the slipstream of it.
Okay, this is what I wanted to see, because Statsenko pitting on a different lap from his teammates, and we saw that Grantis decided to go for the undercut. Is he going to be able to, especially hanging behind him for so long, have a shorter pit stop and a quick enough in and out lap that he could maybe jump him, get that track position?
Oh, well, it is a potential. It really, really is, because we'll see over the next minute and a half as Grandes Caracas making their way down through the chase. Just now, currently P11, but obviously the leading car that has done a pit stop, and already nearly onto the back of Sakari Lehtinen, who has not done a pit stop. So that's quite an interesting turn up for the books. But let's have a look then. As we said, Mikhail Statsenko, our race leader, is just about to get moving. Drops down, gets going again. This is actually going to be much closer than we think, because here comes Grandes Caracas down to the final corner. No, it's done. It's already done.
That said, he's going to have more momentum, though.
Nah. I disagree. I think that Statsenko gets that run, and it's actually much further apart than when they went into to pit lane.
Yep, you're right. So, lost a little
Hang on, I am recording that because that's the only ever bloody time I'm going to hear that. So I'm making the most of it. I'm never right about anything. So when it does happen, you better believe that it's that I'm making the most of it. But Joe, how beautiful is the sun now? It's starting to set here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, getting into the golden hour, that hour before sunset, and it's just so picturesque.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Unfortunately, right here into the cutting, it's in the exact place you don't want it, which is right in your eyes. So hopefully the glare isn't too bad on the drivers trying to hit their marks into that turn and get their turn in right. But for the rest of us, for the viewers, it looks spectacular. And gladly for the drivers, it's not going to be too dark by the time they get to the checkered flag as well.
Yeah, because that would add a completely different attitude to the race. Season 2 was a night race, and it was difficult. It was really difficult to follow from the commentary point of view, and for the drivers as well. But we're back on board with Amadeo Castorino, who's got the move done on Valentin Barry. We saw that before the pit stops there. Now chasing down Eamon Murphy, who's lost out a little bit of time here as well, as somehow, some way, Philippe Minard has come out, still ahead of George Boothby. In fact, even further ahead of George Boothby here.
By about a second from what our timing is showing. So Menard is sitting well. Boothby going to be wishing that maybe he'd had a little bit of a quicker outlap or something to help him. Castorino, in the meantime, we saw him make that pass on Barrier very beautifully. Now he has to see if he can do it on Murphy.
Oh, and that was so very, very close. Put offline there by that car, just holding itself to the inside of the pit lane there, and thankfully keeping itself out of the way. But yeah, this is starting to get very, very sketchy indeed. Castorino tries to get a good exit out of Hell Corner here. We're already past the halfway mark of this 6th round of the championship. 40 minutes left to go here, and realistically, I mean, it's all looking fantastic for those Ferraris of Mikhail Statsenko and Grantis Caracas. And also, I'm seeing Noel Hatchey there with a 20-second penalty now. I wonder if he's either had an extra penalty. I'm sure he had one, but that was before pit lane, so has he not served it, or is it just a one that came out after he's been in pit lane? I wonder. Very, very confusing. It sounds like race control are going to let us know. Right, it was a 10-second penalty to the 18 for causing a collision, so that's obviously happened after his pit stop here.
Wow, okay, so day goes from bad to worse as we got another one coming up. Let's see. 10 seconds for car 18 for an unsafe rejoin. 3 guesses on who that is, and the first 2 don't count.
Yep. So it turns out he didn't get those penalties beforehand. That is after he had his pit stop, so that will be added to post-race time. So Noel Hatchey will be joining the illustrious field at the back of the race there, as we've got 4 minutes 20 left to go in the pit stop window. I believe that we are down to 23 cars now. Thomas Trollope, I think, is the last car that is out there on circuit just now.
And I give a lot of credit to Thomas. Again, I always want to try and praise drivers that even if their lap's down, they repair the car, get back out, and try to finish. And this is going to serve, this is the best track to do that in, honestly. If your car isn't in good enough condition that it's safe to drive, definitely don't at this circuit, because Bathurst will probably make you pay even worse. But because it just keeps collecting cars, if you can get it repaired, we saw him, second to last when he returned back on the track, and now he is all the way up to, what did we say here? This is up to 23rd out of 30 cars.
Yeah, fantastic recovery. And again, it's just about keeping things pushing forward here, as George Boothby still trying to hold on to the back of Philippe Menard now. Again, that will come out because Abe Santima and Sakari Lehtinen will have to pit at this time by, and no surprises to see that George Boothby in that McLaren has caught up, in the Ferrari, has caught up to the back end of Philippe Menard. Now, again, I'm just comparing lap times here between George Boothby and our guy in front. The thing is that it's such a startling difference here as we go side by side. You can see one of the Hondas there and the Ferrari, but so Statsenko in 3rd position, and
so this is Lehtinen, who hasn't stopped yet, so he's not going to fight it hard, which honestly I'm glad to see, because he could be annoying and try to hold him up, but his fight isn't with him, so he kind of knows, yeah, let's just play nice, and I'll pit in.
Moved on.
Let him through.
Whoa. Moved on from George Boothby there on Philippe Menard. We saw it side by side. Got that position done there, and he thought enough was enough for George Boothby. And last time by, Philippe Menard, his best time actually was a 1:59.6. George Boothby's best was a 1:59.630, and that was the last lap done by George Boothby. Here's Marco Lobi though onto the back of Tariq Adam, moves one way. This is down the muddy corner, then the final corner of the circuit, as Lobi tries to get the cut back, tries to get a good exit out the corner. They race towards that blinding sun into the entry of Hell Corner into turn 1 here, and that is going to be Tariq Adams every single day of the week. As Abe Santima comes into pit lane from the lead of the race, he'll come back out. and drop down the order. Sakari Lettinen then the only car still to pit at this time. Buys. Here comes Marco Lomi on Tariq Adam, trying to drive around the outside. This is never going to work. But thankfully they made it work. They organised themselves. I think that was literally though Tariq Adam just squeezing out into that corner.
Yeah, Lomi probably knew better in that situation too. It's better to try and give that one up because the car loves to understeer to the outside. Either your rival could run into you or you're just going to run out of track and slam into that wall.
Oh, 100%. And it makes it so difficult as well. You know, just finding that line between pushing and pushing too hard, and this is the tightrope that all of these drivers are dancing every single time that they go around here and drive here. Talking of drive, you can see at the top right there, ACC Drive. We're proud to bring you a fantastic offer for ACC Drive. You can get a lifetime membership for only €25. Scan the QR code in the bottom right of your screen. And what is ACC Drive, I hear you ask? Well, it is your one-stop shop for ACC, for Assetto Corsa Competizione, whether or not you need a virtual race engineer to get the absolute most out of your setups and your performance, or you need a kick-ass overlay or anything else in between. Head over to ACC Drive, get your lifetime license, and it will get you sorted out. €25, absolute no-brainer as well. So with 35 minutes left to go in this race here, Joe, it's safe to say nothing is going to happen, I would imagine, between Statsenko and Caracas. They'll be playing the team game and just seeing it through to the end. Now, George Boothby has got ahead of Philippe Minard, but the thing for me is he's not got the gap that I immediately thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to absolutely streak off into the sunset here. It's still 0.6 of a second, so I've got no doubt that it will improve. But now that the chink in the armour has been seen for Philippe Minard, do you think Marco Bischoff and Maciej Malinowski are going to know that they can get this done now?
Yeah, absolutely. Having another driver be able to do that can often be that boost that you need mentally to try and make it happen. It can also sometimes have the other effect. Oh, I've been stuck behind this car for this long, and this other driver makes it look easy. But generally, you know, you've kind of rattled that first driver, and their momentum is interrupted. Hopefully, you can try and utilize something similar to get by. But regardless, Lehtinen here back on track and looks like 17th after going longer than absolutely anybody.
As we head round, and there is, as we say, just what I would imagine about 15 laps left to go, maybe a little bit more than that, probably actually more, to be honest, around about 22. I'm just looking at how many cars we've still got. Yeah, we're still on track. We're still cruising towards our little predictions here, but the fight here now with Philippe Minard, again, still just 0.7 of a second. I think what impresses me most about Boothby here is the fact that it's like this poised consistency. It's like, you know, like I said, I was expecting him to just, oh my God, Amadeo Casarino and Eamon Murphy, what the hell just happened there between the two of them? Murphy spins the car around, tries to get going again. The two of them obviously fighting very, very hard on the exit of Murray Corner there, and I've got a feeling that neither one of them is going to want to have backed out, and that looks a very, very silly little incident that's just happened there.
I wonder if they were racing side by side coming out of the corner, and one just got kind of turned and hooked into that inside pit wall. But I mean, the results were disastrous. And if you're Castorino, this is perhaps worst case scenario, because if he gets a penalty for that, it's going to make what is already a bit of a damage limitation day find himself farther down the order.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely no doubt about it. And also whether or not there's any damage on that car. Eamon Murphy's car looked quite badly banged up, and it's just an incident you don't need to find yourself into. Let's have a look at replay then, find out what happened then. So we see that is Eamon Murphy on the inside there, so there's contact originally. Well, that is for me, that is absolutely crystal clear that poor Eamon Murphy sent right into the wall there.
Yeah, I fear that we will see some sort of time penalty for Castorino coming in, because he's the car on the inside there, and he needs to give some space. And it looked like, let's see if we can see the edge of the track. Yes, this is perfect here. I mean, this is all fair here. He gets himself side by side, but then he tracks out. And yeah, he needs to be just half a lane over. Give a little bit more space to your competitor.
That is the textbook definition, unfortunately, of a murder, and that's exactly what we have seen here tonight.
Look like crows to me.
Well, yeah, it's quite a few of them flying away.
Sorry.
No, that was quite an intelligent joke. I think our audience will appreciate that here at the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. It's yeah, I'm gonna allow it. Right, Marco, but why do I feel the need to explain that one to our audience as well? I'm busy like, yeah, they'll get that, and I'm like, no, they get that. We'll find out if they start laughing in the YouTube chat. Anyway, Marco Bischoff then hunting down Philippe Minard. Minard, that BMW has just been like a bust, but also what I've completely just realised, we've got a Ferrari 123. I don't think we've had that until this season.
This car seems to just absolutely sing at this track. I don't know what it is. I hadn't really felt like it's a car that's quicker in a straight line, which often will have a much better time around here because of those long straights, but it certainly seems to be good. The one that I wanted to kind of pick out that I've noticed is Malinowski in that Porsche, honestly. I feel like this is a track that it should do well at because it's not necessarily got the top end speed. What the Porsche does good is have all the weight at the back of the car, which means when you get off corners, that thing has grip, it has grunt, and it goes, it accelerates, it gets up to speed quick. And in a long straightaway, you want that. It'll make them hard to pass, it'll make them quick.
Unless you're in the Cup variant, in which case it's absolute fear when you've got all of that, but none of the electronic gizmos to keep it under control here. As you saw in the background there, Marco Bischoff still on hounding, harassing that tail end of Philippe Minard here. Gets a great run out of the chase here. They're going to be side by side as they come down into Murray's. But again, I think that BMW just needs to put it right under the apex. That's exactly what it does here. And I'll be honest, I just cannot see a way past for this McLaren right now. I mean, he wants it, he desperately wants it, but he's not fighting tooth and nail for it.
Well, I think that is probably a good idea right now. We still have 30 minutes left in this race. So for Bischoff, it's better to probably try and keep that pressure on, make your competitor nervous, see if you can make the mistake and do the work for you. Because that's going to be less risky to try and see if you can rattle him and just pass them on the straight. If that doesn't work, by the end, he's already close anyways, then you can attack.
I think the thing is as well is that we've spoken about this before, and I absolutely detest being pressured. I hate it because that's when I make mistakes. That's when I'm more intent on like trying to make sure I position my car better than actually keeping in the flow and keeping in the rhythm. And that's exactly what they'll be hoping for just now with Marco Bischoff. Although they're to drop back just a tiny little bit, and I think Maciej Malinowski here will quite fancy getting involved in this little battle here. As yet again, we're starting to get a little bit of a train developing behind the BMW. So poor Philippe Minard is going to have an absolute complex at the end of this race here, thinking, what is going on here? I'm not that slow.
No, but if you can keep the cars behind, if you can keep your cool, and once again, like I said, it comes down to those corner exits. Just get the throttle down as quick as you can coming out of them. Then you're going to be in good shape here. So as long as he can keep a cool head about it, then he should be able to try and bring home this fourth place. I'm sure he would have loved a podium, but you take home what points you can, as Castorino is going to get by as that barrier, it looks like.
Yeah, but it's going to be bittersweet, you've got to feel, because for how long? Because he's almost certainly going to get hit with a pretty large penalty, and I would imagine that's going to drop him out of the top 10 here. But Castorino really doing what he needs to do. He needs to just every single lap is purple now. He needs to be absolutely on it and keeping his nose clean right now in that Aston Martin. But beautiful move there from Castorino, and let's face it, it's not the first time tonight we've seen a great move from that number 23 Aston Martin. It's just a shame that it all fell apart the way that it did. Meanwhile, back to this fight for 4th position, back to Marco Bischoff holding all the pressure onto Philippe Menard just now. And I do wonder about that Porsche, because he was closing up, but I wonder if Masiek is just like, yeah, I'm just going to maybe back off a little bit and leave you to fight it, and I'll maybe just pick up what's left after one of you inevitably crashes here.
I can report that the stewards are looking at the 23 and the 66 for that incident. So, yeah, something probably going to be happening. In fact, they just made a ruling on a different one that we'll be getting in just a moment here. So, it looks like that involves the 18 car. So we'll see what that is in a second as we watch side by side through both the mountain and then coming out of what looks like the forest elbow and down towards the chase here. Once again, that slipstream not as powerful as I thought it was going to be today, especially for that McLaren on the much wider and taller BMW.
Yeah, it's a strange one as well, because we were talking about it earlier on, the fact that Bischoff, he's not forcing the situation. He wants past, there's no doubt about it, but he's not putting his nose in where it doesn't need to be here. He almost wants to wait and essentially make Philippe Menard make a mistake here, but I just don't think that's going to happen. What he's going to have to watch out for is Maciej Malinowski, who's going to get a bit fed up with this and start to try and challenge for that position himself. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side here, we've got another battle going on. This is for P11. That's Tariq Adam and Marco Lomi. They can see there. You've also got Eamon Murphy just in the front there. So that is the battle on the right-hand side for 10th, 11th and 12th position. On the left-hand side here, you can see the battle for P4 and P5. Your leaders, as we said, Mikhail Statsenko and Grantas Caracas, they're currently separated by 1.7 seconds, and they are, get this, 16.4 seconds ahead of George Boothby. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of time.
They didn't gain as much as I thought that they would, so I think it has slowed down some. I wonder if they've backed it off a bit, just to try and bring it home, especially now that the pit stops are over. They're out of threat, and like you said, it seems like they're not racing each other. I mean, Caracas is a whole 1.7 seconds behind his teammate now, so this is where you say hold position, bring it home.
Yeah, 100%, and that's exactly what I think they'll be wanting to do, because I always tend to ask this question. I'm like, oh, so what point do you think that they're going to switch into sort of like just get it home mode? You come up with the same answer every time. I don't think there is, and it's exactly the same tonight, because we're seeing this here with Eamon Murphy, with Tariq Adam and Marco Lomi. Why would you give up? Why would you want to take your foot off the pressure that's been applied here? Because you've got a distinct possibility of, like for Marco Lomi here, getting inside the top 10 with 20 minutes left to go. That might be the only thing that's on offer, but you're sure as hell going to hold on to that with both hands here.
Indeed, yeah, and like I said, you never stop pushing because you don't know what's going to happen. There could be a penalty handed out. You could have the driver in front of you make a mistake or have a technical error. So you can't leave anything on the table, and you got to go all the way to the end. As it looks like, are we going to have another pass, or is this going to be another accident coming out of there? McLaren going off the course, and that hands it over to Lomi. I think that was Murphy just going a bit wide.
Yeah, so that is going to hand that position over there. But again, it's all about the exit from Hell Corner, as Moberg trying to have a look in the background. He fancies getting involved with this as well. But Eamon Murphy sliding behind there from Marco Lomi. You've got Tariq Adam just in front. Is this going to be a move here coming up this front stretch? No, it's not. But Eamon Murphy locked onto the tail ends of that Aston Martin right now. And this is starting to get a little bit worrying between these here, because I don't know about you, one thing that I love doing is watching the body language of the cars. And what that means is, watching the angles that they take in, watching the closing speed that they take in, watching the braking points that they make. And most of the time it's fairly relaxed. The cars just sort of almost lilt about. So I'm pretty sure that looked like a huge hit there from Marco Lomi onto the wall. I think that might have just been a little deceptive there, but you watch the cars and it's almost like they very smoothly lilt about, but sometimes you'll see a driver just very aggressively and very sharply put the car in. And that's when I always know there's going to be an incident happening. As here we go then, Marco Bischoff trying to drive around the outside of Philippe Minard. And no, there is no room at the end, and Philippe Minard stays in 4th position here. What does Marco Bischoff have to do to actually get this 4th?
Well, this tells me something, though. Now he's finally given it a go. This is where he says, okay, I've waited long enough. He's not making a mistake. Now I'm going to have to get aggressive, see if that will do anything with him. But you still want to probably try and make high percentage moves at this point because it's not dire. Don't try and dive bomb. Wait until the last lap or two to try and do something like that. And he's showing his nose, but again, just psychologically trying to see if he can get in the head of that BMW driver.
So let's see how we go then with just 20 minutes left to go in the race, and this is bubbling over very, very nicely. It looks like the top 3 are done, dusted, signed, sealed, delivered. Statsenko in the lead of the race, also has the fastest lap. Grantas Garakis, his teammate, in 2nd position, and then it is George Boothby in number 800 Ferrari, making a Ferrari 1-2-3 today here at Mount Bathurst. Bathurst Mount Panorama, if I can even get the words correct there. It's not the first time I've done that, Joe, and it's always halfway when I'm saying it that you realise and you're like, wait, what am I trying to say again?
Everybody thinks that commentary is easy until they actually try to talk for 90 minutes straight and not say anything that's incorrect or silly. So also, bad news for the 23. There is a penalty incoming. So we predicted correctly on Castorino.
Oh, surprise. Oh no, right. It's like that meme actually. Oh no, how terrible. Oh no. Right. Bischoff again tries to cut to the inside this time. Does the BMW have the inside line? Trying to think about it. That was a great move there from Bischoff. Fair play to Minard. Did try to hold on to that. Did try to cut around the outside. But that is done and dusted. That McLaren is going to stretch off into the sunset now. And as we saw there, Castorino does get a 10-second penalty. However, I think that he might still have a top 10 finish on the cards, given with the way things are going right now. So Eamon Murphy coming into the pit lane. Although to be fair, that car looks, it's a bit banged up, is it?
It has been for a while. Did he have more contact that we didn't see recently? So, because he was out running with it for quite some time. And that was before he pitted. That was my other question: does Castorino wind up behind Murphy? Because that's the real thing. He gets penalized, but does he, basically see the same sort of results that Murphy saw out of that coming together? Which I know that's not the purpose of it necessarily, but for Murphy, you're always going to feel hard done by if you see them finish ahead of you after they took you out.
It does tie it up a little bit nicely as well, but I'll be honest, I think Murphy's done. I think that car is going to retire from the race, and we can hear some whimpering noises behind the scenes here from our broadcast producer, which means we've got a replay, which means that almost certainly was a yes there, Joe, and it looks like bang into the wall there. That is, that's going to be enough, isn't it?
That's up at Solman Park. Another one of those very fast left-handers, and just slapped a little too hard. I mean, he'd already had some damage from before. Then he had the incident where he came together with the 23 car, and these machines might be tanks, but they're not impervious.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there is the viewer giveaway tonight. Get yourself involved. Type in GSRC into the YouTube chat, and you could get your chance to win a $10 Steam voucher and get your hands on one of that. Now, what is Genisus Risk? I hear you ask, as was wonderfully reminded to us by our broadcast producer. Well, I'm the right person to tell you about that, aren't I? So Genisus Risk is a cybersecurity company based in South Africa. They work with companies of all sizes, as I am still watching Maciej Malinowski. If anything happens there, I will let you know. And it looks like he's going to have the move done. Maciej Malinowski tries to go to the outside, and that was GG, well played. Great job there for the Porsche. Right, so Genisus Risk is a cybersecurity company that works with businesses of all sizes, both in South Africa, where they are based, and around the rest of the world. So whether you are a solo entrepreneur or you are a blue chip multinational company, we work with you to consult on your cybersecurity needs, estimate what your risk is at. That's where Genisus Risk comes from, and we can help supply training through our partners. That's where Immersive Labs comes in. We're proud suppliers of their wonderful immersive hacking-based learning solutions. Things like capture the flags, which is something that I'm massively into just now. I'm learning cybersecurity, and I love these things called capture the flags, which are learning modules that they simulate events. So you've got to like you get given a scenario and you've got to go and attack a machine, and it's all hosted on Immersive Labs, and it is a fantastic platform, so definitely go and check them out. But we also work with the likes of SentinelOne to provide fantastic managed security solutions. So we take care of all of the worries for you. We look after your entire network. All of your computers, all of your devices are managed from us, and they take care of everything, give you a bit of peace of mind. So you've got more time to sit at night watching the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship with your feet up and having a beer. And the reason I know so much about that is because in a couple of weeks' time, I am going to be down in Johannesburg for the IT Web Security Conference with Genisus Risk, and being part of the team there. So very excited to see that. And I'm going to be meeting up with the one and only Mr. Daniel Costello, who is the guy pushing all the buttons behind the scenes right now. So did that all without any bit of paper there, without any script. I'm feeling quite pleased with myself. I might have just got myself a little bit of favour there.
Indeed, who was really enjoying the script was definitely that pass that we saw with Leighton managing to get, not Leighton enjoying that one. I think that was Manson going by for 15th place into the chase. Excellent stuff. We've been seeing some great moves here at the end into that chicane, especially compared to at the start where it seemed like everybody was getting kind of shoved off. Now there's a lot of respect being shown and just the right amount of aggression to try and get the position at the apex.
Not enough aggression. Come on, I want to see them knocking lumps out of each other with hammers coming over skyline. I want to see robot wars on track here.
You liked the movie Gladiator, didn't you?
I did. I want to see Maciej Malinowski with a chainsaw coming out the front bumper on his car here. It's like sort of a death race. That's what we're talking about here. That would be an amazing showing. But I've got to be honest, I think we have oversold the chaos and destruction that we were going to have here, because we still have a fantastic 22 cars out there on pit lane. And, got to give a shout out to our debut tonight from the amazing Thomas Trollope down in P22 just now. Still out there, still performing despite all of the issues earlier on. It makes me so happy to see new people coming in and just doing their thing and enjoying being part of the field.
Yeah, and that's always a little bit nervy, because you're kind of like the new kid at school. You come in and you meet the class, maybe you know one or two people, but everybody else is completely brand new, and you're trying to make a good impression out there. Leighton, though, has decided he does not want to take that one laying down. He is going to try and see if he can repass Manson as they go by, although Leighton still scored in front, interestingly.
I think that might have been because they were different positions when they crossed the line. I don't know. We'll find out. That will definitely change, because the 30 is definitely behind, but it does take a little bit of time for the time towers to update themselves. But either way, nice little move there for Sakari Lehtinen. Sorry for Samir Foch, as you can see there now shown ahead.
Oh,
in the
that's
number
why.
888.
No, I'm just an idiot. It's not the timing tower. It's me.
Oh, right. Sorry. No, because I got confused there. Right. Okay. Never mind. Right. So, yeah. Okay. Never mind. Right. We're both idiots. It's fine. You're in good company tonight. It's been a long 80 minutes so far, or 78 minutes here. It's coming up to 10 minutes left to go. And such is the excitement that our brains, unfortunately, are starting to melt just a little bit. But we've been treated to a wonderful, wonderful evening race here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. See, I said it right that time. Action all throughout the field, but it does feel like it's starting to just chill out a little bit now. Watch Sakari letting him pull a move on Samir Foch now that I've said that here. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, mate. You're absolute solid here. Let's see if he gets it done. Come down through here into the chase. Also watching Maciek Malinowski. It's going to be Lattice late breakers. Does the Honda get it done in time? To be fair, that was a damn good move from Sakari Lehtinen.
Right at the edge of the track, leaving nothing on the table. Great stuff in that Honda NSX. So that'll be up to P14 now for the Finn. And get back into that spot. Yeah, see, there the timing tower does update as they cross the line and head back into Hell Corner. 10 minutes left to go. That means we've got roughly 5 laps left.
Yep, and I think that some of these drivers will be happy that it's just the 5 laps left, because it's been a wild ride for some of them, as we see Moberg and Santima, teammates together out there on track. And while that means a lot for some of the other teams, what we've seen through the season so far here, Joe, is that for the Genesis Extreme team, it maybe doesn't mean as much as you think it would, and they're quite happy to send a move every which way.
Did we say anything about Statsenko losing the lead? He's not in the lead right now.
He is in the lead. He is. It was a timing tower. No, so the timing tower was outside and it just cut him off. So Caracas was showing at the top. And do you know what, Joe? I'm so happy you said that, because the amount of times I've done that and then immediately tried to kind of get myself out of that. I'm so happy now that I'm not the only one. So don't worry about it.
Well, it's not just me. It's on my timing screen. It's showing him as down in 20th or something. So I'm going to refresh.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. No, that's a fair point, actually. No, you're absolutely spot on with that one. That's a strange one. On the timing screen, it's obviously our timing system's not matching what is actually happening out there on track. So we'll keep an eye on what's on track then, and hopefully that does sort itself out. But I've just seen what you're on about there, and you're absolutely spot on with what you've said. How bizarre! So what we can take from that is Statsenko's gone so fast that he has literally broken the timing system here. But we've got 8 minutes left to go. We're still watching a battle for 12th position. I would hope the saner heads are going to prevail between these two. Meanwhile, that fight for 4th position is getting on quite nicely. Marco Bischoff and Maciej Malinowski. Philippe Minard is about a second behind, but realistically cannot see that driver sending one. Tariq Adam also has Marco Lomi for a little bit of company. So we do have little battles here and there. But for the most part, I think that this race is a lot of drivers now just want to get to the end here.
Murphy must have put on tires when he got his repairs, because you can see he's back out in 19th, and he took the fastest lap of the race. And the track should be getting pretty fast, because it's going to be cooling down now that the sun is getting closer to the horizon. Most of it's in shadow, and that just means that these tires will find more and more grip. But if you can put on a fresh set, everybody else is on anywhere between 30 to 50 minutes on these tires, so they could be a lot more worn, and it's going to be more difficult than someone like that 66 car putting on some new boots. And there's a little slap on the wall for Santima before we switch over to Lomi.
The other thing for Eamon Murphy as well is he'll be wanting to get back out to make sure that he scores some good points here. So he'll be on course to get 45 points, 44 for the position and 1 for the fastest lap. As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, you can get your very own lifetime license to ACC Drive. Get yourself a lifetime license for just €25. What is ACC Drive, I hear you ask? Well, it's very quiet, so I'm going to tell you anyway. ACC Drive is your one-stop shop for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Whether you need a virtual race engineer to help you get the very best out of your car, setup-wise, or whether or not you need some sort of overlay or you need some sort of stream asset as well for ACC. ACC Drive is the place to go for it. As we said, scan the QR code in the bottom right of your screen, get a lifetime license for just €25. As we see Marco Lomi still onto the tail ends of Tariq Adam here. And this is still, this is still as close as it ever has been with these two. But again, it's one thing, catching up to the car in front, but do you have the absolute desire to get past? That's what's going to be asked right now, is Marco Lomi almost sliding that car into the wall here. And, both these cars will be at their absolute edge right now. And I'll be honest, I'm not liking what I'm seeing with Tariq Adam. I don't feel comfortable around that car in front. It does look like that car could be going off at any time.
Some of this could be a bit of netcode that's going on there for Adam, because it looks like he's hitting the wall, but sometimes they aren't actually. It's just the way that the internet interprets that data. Only he knows in his car what actually happened there for the time being. But it does make life very difficult for Lomi, because Marco will have a bit of a question mark over his head on where exactly is that car. I have to leave an extra bit of space just to make sure we don't accidentally hit.
And that's the thing with netcode as well, is that it's so unpredictable, it's so unplanned for the car chasing and for the car driving as well, because he won't experience any of that. We may see things like the car wobbling about or the car maybe making contact with the wall, but for the driver, you see none of that. You're just racing your race. It's an error between the timing between the client, the person driving, and the server, and then coming back to us as well. Ultimately, that is the way that it works, is that the preference is sorted between the client and the server. So as long as they're okay and as long as they're happy, then what we see kind of comes off second best. It's not too much of an issue because it'll pick up afterwards anyway. But either way, Maciej Malinowski back to this battle here with the final 4 minutes of the race here. Bischoff under real pressure right now. That McLaren is absolutely having to deal with all of this ridiculous pressure from Maciej Malinowski for random passable. That is one driver I would not like to be behind me, and you need to immediately clarify with that, with the fact that he is an incredibly clean racing driver, but he's just so damn fast. You just do not want that to happen, as our driver of the day giveaway is about to open over on YouTube. So let us know who you want to take the driver of the day award. It's Mikhail Statsenko, George Boothby, Amadeo Castoreno, or our fantastic debut from Thomas Trollope. So let us know who you fancy choosing for your driver of the day.
Am I allowed to sway it by giving my opinion?
Go for it.
I gotta say Trollope.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm 100%. It's anytime you can come into a race and don't do it, Thomas. That's fine. No. Oh no, he's broken the car. No, not like this.
That's my fault.
But he's still going. He's not. He's still going. And the thing is, he's doing it at low speed, so because he knows that if you got a fast speed when the car's broken, you'll spin the car. But he's just getting the car around. Even if he gets into the pit lane, it's absolutely fine. Right, back to the race then. Maciej Malinowski chasing down Marco Bischoff. This is going to be coming up to the final lap of the race very shortly. We're on the penultimate one right now, and Thomas Trollope will get that car into pit lane. In fact, the clever move would be to get it into pit lane now and then let the leader do his final lap, so he will still finish this race technically, because he'll be in the pit lane getting repairs. But Maciej Malinowski starting to fall back just a little bit here on Marco Bischoff. Has Bischoff done enough? Our race leader coming down the Conrod Straight for the penultimate time. As there we go, into pit lane, I believe that is Thomas Trollope. Yep, so he has gone in. But we're still watching this battle for 4th position. And realistically, I can't see Bischoff losing this 4th position now at the moment, because Malinowski, with one more lap to go after this, he's closing, but it just doesn't seem to have that killer blow.
Yeah, it seems like Bischoff is managing it well, because this is where he needs to be far away on this run down into the chase, and that's exactly where it looks like he starts to pull. Statsenko, thankfully on the tower, is correctly up in the lead. I still don't have him on mine, unfortunately, but the 144 has just been almost flawless this race. Didn't lose it in the pit stops. Had his teammate behind him the whole way, didn't flinch because of that. Once they got separated, he put the afterburners on, and look at that, 5 seconds over Grampus.
Yeah, and then you've got 17.2 seconds over George Boothby. So a flawless, absolutely flawless display here from Mikhail Statsenko. He will be delighted, I'm sure, at the outcome of this race. But we've just got the second half of the circuit. We've climbed up to the top of the mountain. Now it's the fun part. Now it's the roll down through the S's, down through the Dipper, and through in towards the last long stretch of the race here, with 10 seconds left to go. Round 6 is just about to be a distant memory here through the Force Elbow, and then out onto that Conrod Straight here. It's all been pretty rosy for Mikhail Statsenko, you've got to say here, Joe. He's done everything, absolutely everything, in such a controlled manner.
He really has, and at this stage, you know, you talk about when you back off. Yeah, you can back off at this stage.
Certainly can, although it doesn't feel like that is what has happened here for Mikhail Statsenko. Every single lap has been under 2 minutes. But here we go, round 6 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, and it's Mikhail Statsenko who takes the checkered flag. Second place is going to go to Grantas Caracas, and then in third place a little bit later on is going to be George Boothby. Fourth place is going to be Marco Bischoff, we think ahead of Maciek Malinowski. Those two are still locked in battle, but that does look like that is going to be done and dusted. Philippe Minard, it's been a difficult day for the BMW, but he does get across the line in the top 10 in 6th position. Abe Santima fighting, no way, no, that's a little bit too sketchy with Tobias Moberg here. This is the battle with Tariq Adam, with Marco Lomi as well, down into the final couple of corners. So this is the fight for P11 right now. So 11th, 12th and 13th position. I think Lomi is going to get away with it. Is it going to be a send from Abe Santima? Thankfully, no. Thankfully, they get away with it. And then, so 10th place then for Tariq Adam, 11th place for Marco Lomi, 12th place for Moberg, 13th place for Abe Santima. Sakari Lettinen takes 14th, Samir Foch in 15th, Albin Manson in 16th, Yaroslav Hontig will finish in 17th position, Christian Fenter in 18th position, Eamon Murphy in 19th, Noel Hutchey will not finish in 20th because he's got 20 seconds to go down. Well, maybe he will. And then it's Thomas Trollope who will finish after getting repairs in pit lane in 20th position. So we only have 22 cars that finished that race. Fantastic out in there, and that really sets things up nicely, Joe, for the second half of the season now.
Absolutely. So we said before, you know, this is where you got to make sure that you're doing things right. You've essentially made your bed. Now you got to lay in it. And if you haven't had the good results, you've got an uphill climb. If you have been putting them up and putting them down, well, then essentially it's up to you to just carry on that momentum.
Yeah, and the momentum is so key in this championship because, you know, we saw how close it was. It was like 20 points separating 8 drivers in the championship, and I've got no doubt that will be a little bit more of the same. But we're just waiting for some of the drivers to come in and have a chat with us. And I believe we've got George Boothby, so we'll have a quick chat with George for third position. George, congratulations. Third position there. You finally got past that BMW. That thing looked like a double-decker bus today.
Hey, yeah, it was really difficult. I didn't really have the best qualifying, unfortunately, and then the two Ferraris in front, they were just so fast. I think even if I was on pole, they probably still would have won. They were just really, really on it today. But yeah, my race revolved around Minar, and I just couldn't get past him, man. It was so difficult, and a few other people had a good crack at it as well, and just none of us could get through. But eventually I was able to. But yeah, it just kind of like, meant that there was no way to even try with the guys in front. But a podium's still great. It's good consistency, so I'm happy with it.
Was just a way to touch on that. Whether it's very rare we don't see you on the top step, but when we don't see you, the one thing we always see is your metronomic pace. It's so consistent. What are some of the kind of secrets behind your just that ability to just clock in lap after lap after lap within maybe 1 or 2 tenths difference?
I mean, a lot of it is just knowing the car, I guess. And then practice. You can put in all the practice you want. You can get the occasional hot lap, but having the consistency, it's just knowing the car and the game and just getting comfortable. And this is a track that's really difficult to get comfortable on, and that's why you see there's a lot of fluctuations and a lot of little mistakes, and some people have times all over the place. But it's just that's what makes the crazy drivers, and that's why Misha was so fast today. Because if you were to look at his lap times, his consistency, it was just unreal. So, yeah, he definitely deserves to win today. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, fantastic performance of it. Obviously, we're at the halfway point of the season now. So what's the target now moving towards then? Is it now more about points, or is it still every race as it comes?
I mean, I didn't really know where I was in the championship because I had a bit of a rough start. But then the last few rounds have been pulling it back a bit. So I guess now we're halfway. I don't really know what the point situation is. I need to have a check. But if there is an opportunity to, go for the championship win, I'm all for it. I'm going to send it as hard as I can.
Well, my very basic maths, and that is a terrible, terrible thing, so don't take that. I believe you're on 365 points. Now, that might change with the 3 drop rounds and things like that, so definitely don't take that as gospel. But certainly, you got, I think, 91 points for third place today, and you were on 274 as we came into it. So that's my very basic maths on that one. So, yeah, we'll see. As always, though, George, anybody you want to say thanks or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, obviously, a shout out to you guys. Veloce, my team, obviously, and all the people watching in the Twitch chat at home. Thanks for supporting us, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Pretty crazy race. It was pretty sick for the most part. A lot of battling.
Awesome stuff. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure to hear from you. Best of luck, and we'll hopefully speak to you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care, guys.
There we go then, George Boothby in for a chat with us. So now that we've got that on, we're still waiting for second and first place to have a chat with. So let's have a quick look at our driver participation wheel then. So let's have a look who is going to win this week's prize. Now, do we have 1 or 2 wheels this week? It starts off on Jaroslav Hontek, so is it going to end there? Is that going to be a little bit of a sign? Let's spin that wheel and find out.
Here we go.
And there we go. Amadeo Castorino wins our solo driver participation prize this week. So congratulations to Amadeo. That might, I think, Joe, might be a tiny little sliver of silver cloud there, given how horrible that race has been for them today.
I was just thinking to myself, I mean, he kind of needed that one after the way things went, and it all kind of compounded on him. Some of it, I think, is on him, obviously, because he copped a penalty, but others were absolutely not his fault.
Yeah, no, they absolutely weren't. Just our driver of the day poll, Mikhail Statsenko won that one today with 42% of the vote. We would love to have a chat with Mikhail. It doesn't look like he's in with us just now. We'll give it another couple of minutes just now. We've got our viewer participation wheel to do very shortly as well. That is for everyone that put in GSRC into the chat. So let's do that just now. Tons of people taking part. Luke Addison, obviously. Cody Sherritt, I see in there. Jimmy Holm, Tariq Adam. What is going on here? Is this all the people that are just like, they didn't have a good race? Yeah, right out. Hang on, we've got Gareth Hawkins in there. That's, okay, right, let's go. Let's spin that wheel then and see what we end up. Let's go and spin it up.
So with Gareth in there, I was even thinking to myself, am I eligible since it's typing GSRC?
Yep, no way. All right, okay. Well, congratulations to Demayan Goats. Well done. You get yourself a $10 Steam voucher. We'll get that organised for you and get that sorted out. So I'm delighted that we do have drivers here to have a chat with. So Joe, I believe you're going to catch up with Grantis Caracas.
Absolutely, Grantis. Congratulations on a second today. We were having a lot of talk about whether or not you guys had any communication or agreement on this one, because you hung out behind Statsenko for a good chunk of this race. Was there a sort of let's not attack each other and get some distance in there, or was that both of you going flat out?
Yeah, it was a bit of both. Honestly, at the start, obviously, we wanted to be 1 and 2. After the first lap, because Misha was in P1, I was in P3, but if I did a good turn 1 and went on the inside of P2, he gives me the slipstream and just helps me, pulls me through the straight, and then if I get a position, which I did, then we start trying to run away from everyone else, which we did actually. Luckily for us, people behind were fighting a lot, so that helped us a lot. But I think we were still fastest by a bit than the rest of the field. So yeah, obviously that helped. And in terms of communication, yeah, I mean, I was right behind him the whole race, like 50 minutes of the race, until he just pulled away, just doing giga laps. Just not attacking each other, and then and the seconds, and then we just started pushing, especially him, like he wanted to get the fast lap. So yeah.
So I have to ask, because the last few races haven't gone as well for you. A second place, while it's not a win, is going to be a nice turnaround. Do you feel like this help changes your momentum in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the moment anyway. I know I have the pace, because last 2 races I should have been on the podium, and especially the last race I should have won the race, but because my game crashed twice, it wasn't up to me. So yeah, it was a bit of shame on that. Definitely makes the championship harder. Now I basically need to finish on podium every single race if I want to try and fight. But yeah, still have a lot of confidence. Hopefully I will manage to bring good finishes for the rest of the season.
Well, it was an impressive race, both from you and your teammate. Just amazing speed, and hopefully we'll get to see it down in Italy.
Yep, thanks. See you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, this Caracas, who comes home in P2, David. So he sounded, I'd say, upbeat after that one.
And rightfully so. It's, it was a good effort, and, man of few words, but I wonder if we're going to hear any different from our race winner. It's a very warm welcome to Mikhail Statsenko. Well done on the race win there. I mean, you two both made that look very, very easy at the front.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I just made a stable setup for the race, and we were chilling kind of. Like, the first stint was a bit more sketchy for me because I didn't prepare as much. But the second stint, once I dialed in the laps, it was great. Yeah.
Is half the battle for you getting a good qualifying result and making sure that you avoid all of the hullabaloo halfway down through the field?
I mean, it's always like that. Bathurst is no exception. Yeah, it's a bit maybe like easier to overtake on Bathurst, but at the same time, second sector, if something happens, it's over. So yeah, it's always good to be at the front.
obviously a fantastic effort from your teammate there with Genisus in tow there. What's the season looking like for yourself? Because obviously we're now halfway through. We've got another 6 rounds to go here. Is it going to be about the points for yourself? Because obviously with you a little bit way down the championship, you came into this round down in 9th position. But some heavy points for you today. Are you concentrated on the points, or are you just taking every race as it comes?
I just honestly take every race as it comes, take it as a practice. I wouldn't say I'm aiming for the championship win here. I'm just trying to get confident because I recently changed my setup, recently moved out, and I'm just getting confident slowly. So it is what it is.
Well, a fantastic performance nonetheless, and we enjoyed watching that tonight. So congratulations, Michelle, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, David. Goodbye.
Excellent stuff. So there we go, our race winner, having a chat with us there, Joe, sounding very, very, nonchalant about it. He's just chilling, was his words. It's like, I wish I could be that fast and just chill.
I know you mentioned the frustration of seeing those quicker drivers. Yeah, that's the one where it's like, oh, no, there's no big thing. Wasn't worried.
Fine.
Wasn't pushing. So, yeah, if only.
In the meantime, right, there we go. Round 6 is done and dusted. We have hit the halfway point. So next week we are off to Misano for round 7. We've then got Donington Park, Monza, Spa, Watkins Glen, and the Nordschleife to round things out. Second half of the season here is going to be one not to miss. So make sure that you keep it locked here on the Genisus Extreme YouTube channel. But that is it for round 6 of the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship. A huge thank you to our partners at IMB Racewear and Coach Dave Delta for all of their wonderful, wonderful help through the season. And a huge thank you to my co-commentator in the box here, Joe Peake. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. And to Tapello Merioli, I promise we will get him in before the course of the season is done. And as always, a huge thank you to Daniel Costello, pushing the buttons and turning the dials behind the scenes here in broadcast production. But that is it from us this week here at the wonderful sunset at Mount Bathurst Panorama. Bathurst Mount Panorama even. We will see you next week for Misano. Same time, same place. Keep it locked and have a wonderful, wonderful week. The engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flag flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy indeed contact, and there goes Valentin Barriers. Oh, the leader's lost it. Noah Ader loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses the lead. amazing, amazing bit of work there from Luke Harrison.
The inside, we have three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George Bidby. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again.